2, 1.
Oh, hi. This is Jane Boyd from Rediscovering Me and in the UK, and I'm meeting today with Karen Mandy, my co-founder, who is sitting in her office in Swaziland. And we just wanted to have a conversation together about the issues of teenagers and letting go and giving them freedom, which is something I've been struggling with over at least the past year, if not longer. And it's just interesting to find out another person's point of view. Karen, as you know, is my best friend, so I just thought she would be a good person to ask. Her children are older than mine. They're all in their 20s. So we're just going to have a little chat about that and see what comes up. Hi, Karen.
Hi, Jane.
How are you today?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. And what's it like today in Swaziland, the weather?
We've got a beautiful day out there. We just had the monkeys coming to visit us, been sitting in the trees just outside the window. So we've had monkeys.
Yeah, that made me laugh. You had monkeys coming to visit you. I had a dead mouse in my office when I came in this morning. The cat brought me a present.
Lucky you.
They're here as well. So what I want to talk about really is just about letting go of your teenagers and how hard it is, and just find out more about your experience, because I know things are really different out there in Swaziland. Your life is very different from my life, so the challenges are different, but at the end of the day we've all got to find a way of letting go. So I thought perhaps the first thing might be useful for me to just say what the challenges are for me here, and then perhaps you could talk a little bit more about the challenges for you over there, or how they've been. Is that okay?
Yeah, sounds good.
Excellent. Okay. So mainly over here in the UK, I don't know whether people know, but we've got a big culture of drinking, alcohol. Teenagers are just kind of driven to want to be out drinking a lot of alcohol, really from quite a young age. So that's a huge challenge. Another challenge we've got, as you know, Karen, is that in this country it's completely acceptable to be having sex from the age of 16, and for kids that it seems to be expected. So that's one of the challenges, how to kind of balance that for kids, and really there's quite a lot of drugs around as well. So that really paints the UK as a really horrible place, and it's not. I live in a lovely little rural village, but there's still those issues around. And so letting go is difficult, because I'm concerned all the time that if I do what I think I'm supposed to do, which is allow them to learn and do their own thing, I could be just letting them fail big style. So that's my issue. What about you, Karen? How's it been for you?
As you said, it's been very different over here, very different experience. Some people will probably be amazed that there are still pockets where lifestyle is very different. And I'm not saying we don't have the challenges. Those challenges are definitely there. The same challenges, letting your children go with regards to alcohol, with regards to sex, it's still very prevalent. Obviously, it's out there. I think we were a lot more sheltered in the fact that we live in quite a remote area, that my children, out of necessity, were homeschooled for a lot of their primary school.
Yeah.
They were traveling an hour and 20 minutes to school when they were younger, and it just became too much. And so out of necessity, they were homeschooled. So they had a very small circle of friends. For high school, we were in a position where my folks relocated over here, so they were able to go and stay with my folks for high school, which made it easier on me insofar as I was allowed to let them go at an earlier age. which is difficult. But I think the fact that I was releasing them to my parents, so they weren't in boarding school. They could come home every weekend. I could go and spend time there at my parents' house. It was kind of a transitional phase. It eased them out gently. So by the time my eldest actually left home when she was 17 to go to the UK for 6 months, again, I guess it was a transitional stage. That was tough because we're such a close family, because we only have each other really and a few close friends. So that was really tough. But again, it's a way of preparing you, I think, because the next step for us then as a family has been university. So each one of them has stepped out into university, but they've had a kind of grace period where I've still had the opportunity to coach them, be in a coaching position, but where they've been sort of outside of the family, so to speak.
Yeah. I guess when I'm just thinking about all that, I'm thinking that where I am now, because my children are 19 and 16, so my son is 19 and my daughter is 16, I feel like my biggest issue for me personally is it's really hard to sit back and just let them learn stuff without me stepping in. So I'll give you an example. Tom's really been struggling at college with some of the things that have been going on at college recently, and he felt very anxious, and I've tried really hard not to step in and allow him, time to sort it out himself, which is what he wants to do. But in the end, I've ended up just thinking, I can't stand seeing him so upset anymore. So I ended up ringing the college myself. And because it was me ringing and not him trying to sort it out, of course, the college believed me. So they just listened to everything I had to say and said, yep, that's fine. Your plan is good. We support that. And it was all sorted within about maybe 30 minutes, something that he's been trying to do for a long time. And I kind of argued with myself a lot about whether I should have stepped in or not. He was relieved when I did, and I didn't give him any option as to whether I was stepping in or not. I just said, right, that's enough. I've had enough. We need to get this sorted out. And I kind of wonder if it was the right thing. So have you found that you've got to a stage now where you're able to just step back and let them make their own decisions, or how do you do it?
That's actually a good point. Well, as you were speaking, I was sort of thinking, getting flashbacks almost, and thinking about my kids. It's a tough call. I think more with my son than with my daughters for some reason. I think it was when he went away to university, coming from a very sheltered background. So here now they were sent off to university. And it was at that point that I realized you have to trust that what you've put into them when they've been growing up is going to see them through the life choices that they have to make when you release them into university. With regards to letting them be independent and making decisions and sorting things out for themselves, again, I think it was harder with my son. And there were definitely things, I'll give you a brilliant example. He was supposed to, was getting financial aid. All three of my kids managed to get student loans.
Yeah.
And he had to go and sign for his student loan before a certain date. He changed his cell phone number, and so he hadn't been receiving messages to say he needed to go and sign. The girls would probably have gone to check to make sure that, this is happening, because he knew that people were going to sign. My son didn't check. And I could have gone and sorted it out, same sort of thing. But I didn't. I just kept putting the responsibility onto his shoulders. By the time he actually went to sort it out, he'd missed the deadline. and he lost his student loan for that year, which was...
Yeah, I can remember that happening, Karen. It was an absolute nightmare for you, wasn't it? Because that meant you had to find all that extra money for him.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was a huge learning curve, but it was a lesson learned. And I know you can say it was an expensive lesson learned, whatever, but it has made a big impact in his life, because now he's far more responsible when it comes to things like that. So sometimes I think we have to really stand back and be the coach at this point in their lives, through these later teenage years into the early 20s. Trust that you've given them skills, and if they ask for your help, step in. If you can see there's an area where you need to help, step in. But remember, you're the coach. You're not there to run their life for them, you're there to coach them.
That's what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to keep going. You're the coach, you're the coach, you're the coach. So instead of telling them what to do, I've got to ask questions that help them to decide what to do themselves. Is that right?
Yeah. So the way I sort of looked at it when we were growing up our kids, we started off as parents, so you're in a position of authority. So basically, these are my rules. This is how it works in this house. Okay, find your way that way.
Yeah.
Then as they progressed into the teenage years, it was a case of trying to step back more and more. And okay, I'm the coach. So now I'll give direction. If I think you're going in the wrong direction, I'll step in and say, have a discussion with you. What do you think? Is there a better way of doing it? And as they sort of progressed, as I said, into university, then it was a case of stepping back even more and just allowing them to... My son now, for example, is in his 4th year at university, and I get told very little at this point.
Yeah, that's lads, isn't it?
Yeah, but he still knows that I'm his go-to person. So if he's trying to sort something out in his head, or if he's trying to come up with a plan, even the girls, I'm often a person that they'll refer to when they're looking for direction. And that's it. Then you have an opportunity to speak in. But it's getting yourself into that place. And as you said, reminding yourself that you're a coach in this time is a really good thing to try and do.
That's really helpful. I've been looking at, different friends, because my kids have got lots of friends, and looking at how their parents deal with things. And I feel like there's this sort of this line, this scale, and at one end of the scale is this parent who, and I know a parent like this, who won't let her, say, 16-year-old daughter out of her sight, won't allow that daughter to date with anybody, won't allow her to have a Facebook page, doesn't allow her to see friends during the week or even at weekends, to be honest with you. So basically, that child is just at home all the time. It's almost, to me, it seems completely the wrong thing to do. And then at the other end of the scale are parents who just let the children do whatever they want to do. And so some of those children are doing drugs, and some of them are out, drinking, or, kind of all sorts of inappropriate behaviour for someone who's that age. And so I recognise that I want to be somewhere in the middle of that. Maybe not right in the middle. I like to think that we've spent enough time instilling values and skills and understanding into our children that's helped them to learn how to be independent. And perhaps the issue, because we keep clashing, I clash with my daughter and my son every now and again, and each time I kind of review that, I recognise it's often to do with me or my husband saying one thing and them completely disagreeing with it and saying they want to do a different thing, and us kind of somehow trying to work out what the best thing to do is. But I suppose what that all boils down to is we're still being quite directive, and perhaps that's not necessarily the right thing to do. It's interesting that you've brought up that it's been different with your son than it has been with your daughters, because I have found that as well. So my son is much more, I suppose, reliant on me, although he has in the last few years tried to step away from that, and I've been holding on to him a bit more than perhaps I ought to have been, because he's my first, and I don't relish the idea of him not being here anymore. My daughter, she's 3 years younger than him, but she's very, very independent, and she's been independent from a very young age. But she is a kind of dichotomy between this, I'm just my own person and it's absolutely nothing to do with you what I do. To on the other hand, Mum, give me a hug, I need you, I need a big cuddle, I need to know you're there, kind of thing. So I find it a bit easier dealing with her, probably because I'm a girl myself and I can remember what it was like, because I was exactly like that when I was 16. You can remember me when I was 16. We used to be quite independent at that age, so trying to support her is a bit easier than I think supporting him.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't know whether it's a boy-girl thing. I mean, neither of us are psychologists here. This is just experience. I don't know if it's a boy-girl thing or whether it is just, I don't know. Maybe it is just personality. But either way...
Yeah, I wondered that.
Yeah, but either way, definitely, I mean, all our children are different. My youngest one, who's a girl, she's been very independent, same thing, very independent from a young age.
She has, I can remember her. She's always been very independent and fiercely determined to be so.
Exactly. And so her and I often knocked heads when she was growing up, going through the teenage years. I think it was very difficult for her and for me. And so trying to find a way through that, it's like a minefield, being a parent. I mean, these kids should come with a handbook. But it is quite a difficult, it's such a challenging thing. It's the most challenging thing we're ever going to do in our lives. And I think you've just got to take each child on their own merits and each relationship on its own merits. But at the end of the day, the ultimate goal for all of our kids is to put them in a place where you can feel comfortable and safe, where you feel they're comfortable and safe.
Yeah.
Where they're in an environment where they've got friends, where they're in a place that you feel comfortable letting go. Because the final place that you want to be as a parent, so we move from a position of authority to being the coach, and at the end, the final thing that we want to be is their cheerleader. And I think sounds like Tom's sort of getting into that place. When you release him off to university, as a parent, then the best place to be, standing on the sideline going, yes, whoops, okay, no, you fell over, that's okay, dust yourself off, pick yourself up, I'm here if you need me. And it doesn't matter what route they're going, it might not be a way that we would choose, but our job is to be the cheerleader, to be there and dust them off when they need it, and to just say, yes, you can do this, and be on the sideline. So that is ultimately the place, I think, as parents, where we're aiming to be, regardless of how we get there, releasing our children out into a place where we feel that they're safe and we're comfortable with them being, and allowing us to...
That's really interesting, that thought about. So we've just talked about the coaching and coaching them, and I think perhaps that's where I am now. But yes, so it's weird, isn't it, that that you, all the time that they're growing, they're going to have to go, and you want them to grow, you want them to be normal, you want them to be able to go, and you don't want them to be able to go, and you don't want them to grow up. You want to keep them small all their lives and with you. But actually, that ultimately the aim is to get to the point where they know that they can ask you and you will be there, and also they know that they can come back whenever they want. So yeah, that's really helpful, that cheerleader thing. And
Yeah.
Tom is going to university in September, as you know, so I'm going to have to be ready for that and make sure that I feel like he is as well. So that's really helpful. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it gives us both food for thought. Because
Yeah.
I mean, I'm also in a position where my kids haven't moved out totally yet. I've still got 2 of them sort of hanging around, even though they're at university. So both of us, it's horrible. This is a horrible season in some ways because it is a wrenching of something that's close to you, that you've nurtured. So there's that wrenching, but there's the other side of you that is fiercely proud, and you know what, every step they take, it does make you immensely proud of your kids. So it's also a great season to look forward to. So yeah, embrace it, Jane. Go with it. Enjoy it.
I'm filling up a bit here just thinking about it. I need to get my head around it soon. Because he's going soon, yeah. Okay, well, that's really good. So thanks very much, Karen, for your time there. And I love you loads, as you know. And I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who's watching this. There's a tear coming down here. Just wipe it away. Hope you've enjoyed it. That's our first online chat, so that'll be really interesting to see what people think. So it'd be great if you could make some comments for us, and so that we can learn what we need to do. And just to say, you know, goodbye from the Rediscovering Me team in the UK, and
goodbye from us in Swaziland. Bye.
Bye.